I might need to look at the dimensions of the return portals and stuff like that, because it seems like maybe it's a bit of a bottleneck. Hello dudes and dudesses, and welcome back to an unexpected fast revisit to this Shulker show farm. I was expecting to have the next video on this farm be a block by block tutorial, but if you remember when I was about to sign off, I talked about there seemingly was a bottleneck problem. And oh my god, did I have a bottleneck problem. The first version maxed out at around 200 plus Shulker shows an hour, and I was seeing when I rewatched the footage that in the nether dimension there was actually Shulker shows on the floor, which indicated to me that Shulkers were dying from entity cramming around the portals. If you remember, we had one killing chamber on this side, the overworld side, and it simply could not keep up. So what I've done is basically just to make more killing chambers. That's the first step. Instead of one, we now have 4 killing chambers. Before we had one killing chamber right here, now we have 4. We have one here, and on the other side it's the same, one here and one here. And as you can see, they're all in use. This is one dying, this is one dying, and this is one dying, and yeah, that kind of explains why the Shulkers were clocking up in the portals, because we simply did not have enough killing chambers. And you can see it's still full. It still gets full sometime. And we added another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the reservoir of backup Shulkers that can go into the portal. But still, as you see, even with 4 killing chambers, it sometimes get like this. Pretty crazy. So we actually, I don't know if I can catch it, we have Shulkers dying in 4 killing chambers, 1, 2, 3 at a time, 4 killing chambers at a time, and that kind of dramatically increased the rates. The rates for this farm is now 500 plus, and I've had it running for more than 24 hours on and off, and it's stable, and it's more than 500 shells an hour every hour. And while I'm here in this position, I want to thank Krenix from my Discord community. I have the world's most fantastic Discord community. I love my Discord community, and come and be a member. We hang out, we share ideas, we help each other. And Krenix, one of my Discord members, he was like 2 minutes after the video was released, he had downloaded the world download and he was added. And we wrote back and forth all night, and a lot of the ideas for the improvement in this farm is actually his. So big shout out to Krenix from my Discord community. The 4 killing chambers instead of 1 was the first big change we made to this. This is actually, the things you see here are not really changes. I've just added an on-off switch for the farm as a whole, which is basically just turning off on and off this power rail here, and an on-off switch up here. And this on-off switch is because when you start the farm off, you may not want to have 4 killing chambers. So if you switch this off, these two go up, and the Shulker shows won't be able to go to these 2 killing chambers. Just when you start it up the first time, you want these places to fill out first. So you will probably only be needing this once, and of course you will bring this down, because in survival the Shulkers, if you're within a 16 block distance, they will shoot at you. But it wasn't enough just to do 4 killing chambers here in the overworld, so let's quickly go to the nether. So on the nether side, this was where I saw the Shulker shows lying. The main improvements I've done is that it's very easy. I've added 1 minecart, simply to speed up the process of getting rid of the Shulkers from here. And if we look at this end where the Shulkers are returned, If you remember, I had this exact system in place, and then I had an etho hopper clock here driving it with 16 items in it. And what I've done is I've doubled it up on the other side, and I just moved the etho hopper clock over here, so now that it drives both of them, and with a bit of delay, so it's not simultaneously on both sides. And in case you haven't watched the first video, the reason I have this is that I figured out that even though when the shulker splits, it's shaking or slightly open, so you can actually have a wall here and it will go straight through the portal most of the time. When it's already in the world and it teleports to a place, it doesn't always do that. So if it had a wall here, they would kind of clump together right here because they slightly touched the portal and they went into a cooldown mode, and when they slightly opened, then they renewed the cooldown period, and there was kind of a clump of them here. So doing like this makes sure that they go through. I also did that, I placed a block over the shulker here, forcing it to teleport down here even faster, and then I replaced these two just so that this guy cannot spawn. He somehow did anyway. He's not supposed to be able to spawn on glass. And if we look at it from the top, it's not much bigger, and there really isn't much going on right here. Before, I had a minecart going on a clock. There was a hopper clock here, and it went in and replaced the central hopper. I think I had 1.5 stack in there, and it was replacing it all the time. Now, from watching that, and I even said it in the last video, you can see that when the shulkers was replaced 1 out of 4 times, it kind of got in here and was hit by a bullet from the one that was there before, even though we had this small lava system to kill it off, and it was just sitting there and being closed until it had taken so much damage that it teleported away, and then a new one was brought in, and that kind of slowed down the rates as well. So what we have done now is we just placed a target block here that detects when these 15 snow golems throw snowballs at the shulker, and it makes a current that we bring down here with an observer chain all the way down here. Very simply, you can see this observer chain ends here, and it sends a signal, and of course it's a very short pulse, so we have repeater on 4 ticks, and then we have these two to make a pulse lengthener that goes on to this block with a torch on it, and underneath that torch is a fence gate. And if we go around to the other side, and I just go in creative again, if I just remove these, you can see what's going on here. It's not much. The honey blocks are here because sometimes, I will get back to that, this guy aggroes, but when the shulker up there dies, this signal slowly burns out, and this torch turns on, open this gate, and this minecart with the shulker goes in and replaces the central shulker, and that kind of upped the rates quite a bit as well. And while we were at it, we had several different solutions along the way. We decided to move the shulker from down there so it didn't need to take that long ride, and have it wait here instead, so it's more instant. Now, about this guy being aggro, when shulkers are in a certain distance of another shulker that's aggro, it will like empathize aggro and actually down here he won't be able to empathize aggro with the central shulker. So when he's aggro, it's because, and I talked about this in the first video as well, that sometimes the shulkers don't actually teleport. Even though they're supposed to theoretically, they don't always teleport right away, and they get off a shot or two, and if it's long enough down in the farm in this side, this guy will pick it up, and then he will start firing as well. It happens very seldomly actually. If you watch the shulker, you can see he's not taking any damage, And even though if he should be taking any damage, it wouldn't matter much, because it would just mean that the minecart would go up there without a shulker, but the torch over here would still be turned on, and the minecart would drop down here and quickly collect another shulker and put it in the system. Now if we go down here, and this is for the world download purposes, because as I said, I hope to be making a block by block tutorial by the end of the week. I'm a bit pressed for time. I have built up the new central part right here. One wall is replaced with a target block, and in this one I've actually brought it straight down. And that's of course the right way to do it. In there I was fiddling around, so I kind of brought it over there and down. And that's basically the only change from before. That's that one right there. Everything else is exactly as it was. And then of course down here, instead of the etho hopper clock that we had down there before that sent it off like every 1.5 stack, we now have this system detecting when the snow golems are firing their snowballs, and if they're no longer firing their snowballs, meaning there's nothing to fire at, this burns out. This torch turns on like that, opens this fence gate, and the minecart with the replacement shulker is sent up through this water elevator right here, like so, up here, in here, and down here. And this one still is observed by this observer and fires a short lava boost if there's any shulker shells going up and down, up and down. And if you haven't seen my first video, this is not a real live shulker, it's just a shulker box. Then it goes down here, hits this rail right here, dispenses the shulker there, and then just goes down here and goes on down here and all the way down here, collects a new shulker, goes back and sits here and waits, because this will be closed. Alright dudes and dudeses, we're gonna do a ghost ending. I just want to say thank you for watching. The important thing about this is that I will leave a new world download in my Discord community for those of you who can't wait. And if you started on this farm before, hopefully you can see that it's a very few minor changes that you need to do to adapt to this much higher efficiency from 200 plus to 500 plus shells an hour. Everything still works the same. And do leave the video a like, it helps the channel. If you're brand new, consider subscribing, hit that belly button so you get notifications when I put out a new video. I hope, as I said, to be able to make a block by block tutorial by the end of the week. See you. Bye.